As the 42nd President of the United States, he is also the founder of the Bill, Hillary, and Chelsea Clinton Foundation. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome President Bill Clinton.
I always wanted to play that tune with your studio band.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Harlem Nocturne.
Yeah, why didn't you bring your horn?
If I'd known we were going to play that, I would.
See that? Well, it's not too late. Oh, it is.
This is, how many years ago was that? The first campaign. You're on the Arsenio Hall show,
yeah.
And you play the saxophone. That was like a big political, cultural moment, wasn't it?
I guess. I had a good time.
Yeah, and you won your first term in office.
Yeah, probably because I could play the horn, right? I remember we played God Bless the Child, that old Billie Holiday song, and Summertime. It was fun.
Yeah. Did you, when you were a kid growing up, is that your instrument of choice? Did you learn it early?
Yeah, I started playing clarinet when I was about 9, and I switched. My band needed a saxophone, so I switched to tenor sax when I was 10, and I stayed with it till I finished high school. And
wow.
I actually had more music scholarships than academic scholarships to college.
You're kidding, that's
the
truth?
Yeah, I was pretty good at one time. But I knew somehow deep down inside I'd never be as good as John Coltrane or...
Well, I mean, that's a pretty short list there, isn't it?
Yeah, but you got to, when I was a kid, you had to, if you want to make a living as a jazz musician, you had to play the clubs. Mm-hmm. You couldn't make a living selling CDs. They weren't any CDs.
That's
but
right.
I was hardly a record player when I was a kid. But anyway, so if you're going to stay up all night and sleep all day and make that kind of sacrifice and run that kind of risk with your life, you needed, at least I needed, to believe that I could be the best there ever was, and I didn't think I could be.
Well, you know, I remember a few years ago, you were speaking about Buddy Guy, fantastic guitar player.
Great.
And you told the story about his father, his grandfather, or maybe Buddy himself, unraveling the wires in the screen door to make a very crude guitar, and that's how his musical career began.
Yeah, he had no money, like a lot of those guys, and he wanted to play so bad. He literally took the wire off the screen door and turned it into a string instrument.
Now, there's much to be learned from that, isn't there?
Yep. You're better off if you're born into a better off family, I guess.
No,
look. If you want something bad enough, you will find a way.
That's exactly right.
And he found a way.
That's right.
And I love that guy. He's really
fantastic. Just fantastic. Speaking of things fantastic, a 7.5-month-old granddaughter. Is that about right?
Unbelievable.
Yeah?
Yeah. She's amazing now, and if you met my granddaughter, first thing she'd do is take her glasses off.
Mm-hmm. Fascinated by...
Yeah, that's her new thing. Her hands are working, and she likes to take my glasses.
Charlotte is her name?
Charlotte's her name.
Charlotte. Do you mind if we show some pictures of her?
Do you have any?
I think we have some here. Grandma and Grandpa.
That's in the hospital.
So that is brand new.
Yeah, that's 7.5 months ago.
Wow. My goodness.
She's practically doing push-ups now.
Now, as we all know, when you have a child of your own, a switch is thrown and it stays on full speed all the time. What switch is thrown when you have your first grandchild?
For us, the gratitude switch. I mean, and the fascinating, you know, we only had one child. So it's been a very long time since Hillary and I have seen a baby wake up to the world. Mm-hmm. And it's just unbelievable. I mean, every week it's something new. And thankfully, our daughter and son-in-law have invited us into her life, and we get to see her a couple times a week when we're all in New York. And I just love it. I find it's utterly fascinating, and I hope I get to do more of it.
Mm-hmm. And it's not fair to ask you, because you're the other end of this perspective, but this little girl one day will learn that her grandfather was President of the United States, and everything will turn upside down for him.
Yeah, because by the time she gets old enough to know when we go places and do things, I'll have a more important role. I'll just be her grandfather.
Oh, that's great. That's beautifully put. More important. We'll be right back with President Bill Clinton, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Felicia. Thank you, Paul. Wow. Thank you, Aaron. Thank you, everybody. You have, I don't know if I have the chronology correct here, but recently back from Africa?
Yeah.
How long ago was that trip?
We just got back a few days ago. About probably 4 or 5 days ago, we went to Kenya and Tanzania in southern Africa. Then we stopped for a day in Liberia, because 4 people from our health access program were there the whole time through the Ebola epidemic. They never left, and by the grace of God, they were never infected, but they worked on the front line. I'm really proud of them. So I wanted to help them. We looked at our programs in the first 2 countries, and then we talked about what's going to happen now in Liberia and how they need to build a healthcare system so they can manage this and they'll never have an epidemic again. And then we went to Morocco for a meeting of the Clinton Global Initiative for Africa and the Middle East. The whole trip was fascinating, but I love going there, and I love seeing people make something out of nothing. I met a woman in Tanzania who came to a vaccine clinic that we helped to stock, and you have to refrigerate vaccines. And it was way out in the country. The woman has still had to walk 12 miles with her 6-month-old baby just to get there. But it was the first time she'd ever been able to do that. And then I met some farmers in Tanzania, including one woman with 7 children who was farming 1 acre of land, and she almost tripled her yields joining this program we started with 85,000 farmers. And she added soybeans, and her income went up more than 300% because we lowered the price of the seed and fertilizer. And all of a sudden, all her kids can go to school. And she thinks she's really rich, you know. There are literally millions and millions of people like that, that for very little money per farmer could feed their countries, export food, deal with this growing global population. So it was really rewarding. I loved it.
It must be very satisfying. And this is money from the Clinton Global Initiative, from the Clinton Foundation?
Yeah, my foundation does these programs. The Clinton Global Initiative is basically a network that we try to build, and we rarely participate in the projects there. If somebody comes and gets us and says, you can do this, nobody else can with your help, we do. But basically, that's a network of people that have pledged over a decade $100 billion that has already helped 430 million people in 180 countries, and it's all voluntary. For example, in America, we've got some public and private pension funds that have committed $14 billion to retrofit buildings and make them more energy efficient. They've already spent $6 billion of it and created more than 50,000 jobs. No taxpayer money, no nothing, just find an opportunity, find the investors, and do it. It's going good.
Because I have a card here, and I'll read some things, and please comment. Clinton Foundation, 9.9 million people are receiving HIV/AIDS treatment. Remarkable.
Yeah, that's more than half the people in the world who get it. The reason is we were able to pioneer, more than 10 years ago now, a big reduction in the price by getting the whole business model of the AIDS drugs changed. They were a low volume, high profit margin, uncertain payment business. We made them a massive volume, low profit margin, but certain payment business. And because of that, 70 countries have asked us to negotiate contracts that they buy AIDS medicine from. We don't touch the money. The money goes from the donors to these poor countries, and they buy the drugs at that price. But it's had a dramatic effect, and it's also lowered everybody else's prices.
Now, back home in the United States, 15 million children have access to healthier food choices in their schools in the fight against childhood obesity.
Yeah,
15 million kids.
The First Lady, Michelle Obama, is running this Let's Move program. She asked us to run our foundation and our Alliance for a Healthier Generation that I did with the American Heart Association after I had our surgery.
Yes.
And we do the school programs. The first thing we did was reach an agreement with the soft drink companies to reduce total calories in drinks going to school by 90%. And then we worked on getting the meal more nutritious before the new federal guidelines came in. And then we worked on exercise programs before, during, and after schools. So we're trying to do our part there, and I think it's making a real difference.
When you were, yeah, I mean, it's still unbelievable to me that we have kids in this country who are not getting enough food, and then kids in this country who are obese. I mean, how do you reconcile that?
Actually, they're quite close. You know, they're basically on the knife edge of poverty, one way or the other. There are people who are food insecure, who don't get enough food stamps or whatever. And then there are people whose parents have barely enough to pay their bills. And they work all the time, so they don't have time to prepare the food. So they buy food that is high in bulk, high in caloric content, low in nutritional value, and they become obese. And they're very close to the people who are hungry. And we've got to deal with both problems.
And then there is the other part of it, maybe the biggest part of all, the corporations producing food like that because they know it is what people will end up buying.
Yeah, but and we're working with them. There are a lot of them that really want to change if we can make it possible to do what we did with the AIDS medicine and the soft drinks for them to make money in another way. They'll take a lot of the sugar out of the food. They'll stop a lot of the processed carbs. We just have to keep working at it, and we're making progress, but we got a ways to go.
Let me ask you another question. Are you, put it in a percentage, what's the chance of you moving back to 1600 Pennsylvania?
Well, first of all, Hillary has to win the nomination. If she wins the nomination, then she has to win the election. If she wins the election, the chances are 100% I'll move back. Wait. If I'm asked.
If you're... you may not be invited back.
My experience is, since I left the White House, when a president of either party asks, you say yes. Mm-hmm. So I hope I'll be invited. It'd be a good thing for America if she won. I hope she does.
This is, what an amazing life this has been and could continue to be for both of you.
We have been so fortunate. It's funny how your perspective changes. I think having a grandchild made a big difference. But we just sort of try to wake up every day in a good humor and be grateful. And go out there and, I urge you to just go out there and have a good time, tell the American people what you wanted to do, explain what the challenges are from her point of view and what we should do, and just be grateful. We've had a wonderful life, and I'm grateful.
Well, we're very happy that you're here and very impressed by what you've been able to do since you left the White House. I think at one point we discussed that maybe it's easier for a man or a woman to be more effective out of office, actually, than when they're in
You're about
office.
to find out.
My God, I take that as a challenge. You're exactly right.
We'll do it together.
Yeah.
Thank you.
President Bill Clinton, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back with Adam Sandler, everybody.